Hearing though is that there needs to be a bit of work around self-awareness first before we can start throwing words or even one word around. We need to know ourselves a little bit better. Is that I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a great place to start because we can't understand what our vision is if we don't know ourselves enough to connect with a thing.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what would you direct someone around that piece?
Yeah. Well, I love that you asked that question. And one of the first things that I noticed in coaching and also talking to these people who I call disruptors for good, who are the role models of doing this great work, they are really aware of their capabilities, the gifts where they shine. And they not only are aware of it, but are able to communicate that well to others. And one of the areas of self awareness is most people are not aware of where they shine. Like, even if they're an engineer, they're in a pool of engineers, so they don't really know what is extraordinary about them. And it does take some excavation work to figure out how you as an individual are unique and shine, and also what your team is, particularly gifted at, or what your company does better than any other company. It takes some time and some research and observation and probably a lot of conversations to get there. Obviously, as an individual, there's some tools like Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder that can get you started. But even just asking the people in your life, what do people come to you for? And if you even ask them, like, where do I really shine? What am I gifted? Where do I stand out? People can come back and share like 4 or 5 things that you can then make sense of and start to understand who you are or who your team is or who your company is and what is uniquely gifted about, any of those levels. And then also, then how are you going to communicate that? And so on an individual level, many of us feel boastful owning our gifts and strengths and sort of shy away from that. But I have met some really interesting individuals who are able to just really say, I'm actually really good at this piece. And it feels so refreshing when someone does that in a non boastful way. And they're also then equally aware of where they need support and help. And the people that I find who've done that extra work are able to have the awareness to lean into their strengths. I think often, and especially I did in my early career, I lent into my weaknesses, thinking I needed to level up all these different areas that weren't as tangible or easy for me. And there's always maybe going to be a piece of that. But if you're not leaning into your strengths, you're doing a disservice.
Well, I mean, we're Gen X's to some degree. I think you're Gen X.
100 agree,
Okay.
but
All right. I didn't want to assume it could be a millennial. I didn't know. But having said that, I remember growing up and it was, what are your weaknesses? Well, you need to work on that. Those are your
yes.
weak. Yeah. Only in the last decade or so is it, forget that. Just lean into your strengths.
Yeah. Well, not in school. I mean, I have children that are about to be all three teenagers, and a lot about school is leveling up your weaknesses. So if you're not performing great in math or in writing, then you need to get a tutor or somebody to help you with that area. And nobody is really saying, wow, you're exceptional at this. Like, this could be your go to, like, magnificent shine area. So I think a lot of the messaging we get all through schooling is still how to level up weaknesses.
Oh, or at least get to a baseline so you can graduate. And because it's a checklist exercise.
Yeah.
Because that kid that's horrible at math, they are going to avoid anything and everything to do with math the minute they walk out of that school and never want to ever do it again. But there's a baseline that they seem to have to achieve. Oh, well, man, we could do a whole thing on school and education. Don't even get me started on even getting into the college realm. I'll shut up on that. But let's go on the leadership side of things. What if alignment doesn't work? I love that you connected the dots between having a tool like StrengthsFinder, the networking, mentorship, coaching thing where ask around, see if it's right, and then communicating to get it. Those are three of my baselines for a lot of leadership: situational awareness, self awareness, communication. But what if you're wrong? But what if you come up with a vision that you're like, okay, I'll try this, and then it doesn't feel like a fit?
Yeah. Well, there's different ways. I'm sure you have done a lot of podcasts on how you would know if it's not a fit. But one of the ways that on the values side is you can feel it when there's misalignment. You don't want to go to work. you're feeling agitated, anxious, like you know when you're feeling misaligned. And if you're ignoring that for too long, eventually you have a health issue that something shuts down. So I do believe on the value side is if you focus on what's happening in your body, you will understand when you are misaligned. But sometimes it's also realizing that you can bring to the table the piece that is missing. So it doesn't mean that you have to change jobs. It just means that you may need to find your allies or who to take initiative with that can get behind something or a piece that is missing. Because I find often people are, when they run into a complication at work or feeling misaligned, their first reaction is to just go the other direction. And without really, again, doing the research and understanding what is behind that misalignment and what are the options, what you could do about it, you may very well find you're in the same situation again.
And you might even be close. You might be just it might be just a slight tweak, because a lot of people, to your point, will go back to, oh, I got to start all over. Oh, I'm a failure. I did a horrible job trying to align. No, it's new information. You've learned something about yourself. This is a great opportunity to tweak and readjust for that vision statement. It's those that I think beat themselves up a bit too harshly that I think might have to rethink it.
Yeah. And actually, something that comes to mind also is when it comes to values, I really have seen that it's important for teams to have a similar value system, just like it is in a family to keep together and close. But it's really important to have different perspectives. So that is a big piece about alignment, that it's okay if the perspectives are different. It's not okay if you are fundamentally different or on opposing values. And making space for understanding different perspectives will allow you to reach your customer better, work better as a team, have more empathy for each other and the people you serve.